Welcome to the Doomscroll News Report here on Radio Taiwan International, where I, Hanna, am joined by my colleague, Philip Liskovsky, today to cover some of the biggest international news stories dominating our news feeds from the last week. I'm Hanna, and I'll be hosting for the month of August, while my usual co-host, Amanda Stevens, heads back to the United States to take a well-deserved vacation. While she's away, I'm taking the opportunity to pick Phil's brain about Taiwan's changing relationship with Europe, recent allegations regarding his home country of Slovakia's latest election, and the unprecedented natural disasters that have been occurring in Russia's Far East. Since Amanda and I are both Americans, that obviously colors the way we cover and interpret the news. So I think having you on, Phil, is good for a fresh perspective. It can't just be us obnoxious American girls all the time.
Hello.
I know you're not like a newsy guy. You were just saying earlier before we recorded, you mentioned you hardly ever look at the news in a serious way besides doing work.
Yeah, I got a little anxious when you told me you want me on this program. Because I was like, oh, I got to be serious and talk about news and politics.
Sorry to take you out of your element.
It's my Achilles heel, but as you said, it's a little challenge to try on.
I also think it's good to have you on because you aren't doom scrolling the news all the time. So I think we should all aspire to be a little more like that. Of course, now I've forced you to do so, but whatever. I needed a little help this week. What can I say?
I'm here, no worries.
The first thing I want to talk about today is how Taiwan's relationship with Europe is changing, which I think is to be expected since, with the current administration, confidence in American leadership and the overall reliability of the U.S. as an ally have both come into question. We've been reporting pretty regularly right here at work about Taiwanese officials meeting with European leaders. Just recently, Deputy Foreign Minister Francois Wu met with a delegation from the European Parliament to talk trade, technology, and the situation in the Indo-Pacific. On the one hand, we've always maintained pretty good ties with Europe, but on the other hand, I do think Taiwan has been clearly intensifying their efforts to strengthen those ties. Have you noticed a similar trend?
Well, just to come back to that I don't read news and I don't stay too informed, I'll say that we obviously do get exposed almost on a daily basis, whether it's at work or somewhere, even if you can't help it on the TV or somewhere. And of course, also for our supervisors, I am staying up. I'm staying with the latest topics that's happening and all that.
Staying up to date.
Up to date, correct. And this one, I would definitely agree because we have been reporting, I would say, almost every week that something's happening, whether it's the delegation from Taiwan went over to Europe and they met with someone. For example, I think the EU had been like fourth or something trading partner where they reached, I think it was, 85 billion last year.
Yeah.
So you can see that those numbers going up constantly, right? And like becoming more prevalent and all that. Then you see there are more agreements being between the EU and Taiwan. So there's more MOUs or cooperations in this industry, that industry. So there's a lot of these events or news that just support that claim.
Yeah, I think so. We've definitely both observed the same trend then. Just coming to work and writing about the news.
Correct.
We see it all of the time. Or somebody went there, somebody came here.
Correct.
So reached an agreement, shook some hands. Yes. So just to elaborate a bit further, in the years leading up to Trump's second term, the EU was generally shifting away from China and toward Taiwan at the same time that Russia and China were kind of cozying up together a little bit more. Now, though, it seems like the EU is repivoting toward China as an alternative to the now more unpredictable United States, which, as we know, is slapping its own friends with tariffs left and right. To get a better idea of this relationship, I read an op-ed by Tatiana Vondenhout, published in Commonwealth magazine back in May this year, describing how certain EU leaders are responding to Trump's, quote, unilateral economic abuse by pushing for greater economic cooperation with China. But this balancing act becomes even more complicated when you throw Taiwan into the mix. because not only does the EU have a major technological reliance on Taiwan's semiconductor chips, which kind of everyone does, but their political support for Taiwan has also intensified, particularly since the European Parliament's October 2024 resolution affirming Taiwan's right to international engagement and urging the development of an investment agreement. It seems like they are increasingly drawing parallels between China's behavior towards Taiwan and its support of Russia. So taking all of these factors into consideration, which way do you think the wind is going to blow?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I feel like EU is in a very tough position because you want to be friends with Taiwan, with the US. Trump shenanigans just makes you steer the other direction. And then you're thinking, okay, maybe we should rely more on ourselves.
Yeah, I can't really blame them.
Yeah, not the army of NATO or whatever, like resources. But at the same time, as you mentioned, like you don't want to throw it to China's face and be like, okay, we're cutting all deals. Because then, like, we are an ecosystem of the world where you have to rely on each other. It's not like you pick A or B and everything just goes, right? You need A and B. So it's kind of tough. I don't think anybody has this answer. It's just so
it's true.
Interchanging, and like you have to see how the things will evolve. Who will raise tariffs? Who will give penalties? Who will be behaving this or that way? And then they will play their cards accordingly, I would say.
They kind of have to play both sides because of the position they're in. Because at the same time, it's like China is too friendly with Russia, who is, I guess you could say, an immediate threat to the EU, or as immediate as China is to us here in Taiwan. But at the same time, it's a huge trading partner. There's so much money there. There's so much stuff. China has certain rare metals that nobody else has in the world. So, we may have chips, but everybody has something.
Right.
Everybody's got something.
The bigger the land, the more stuff you might have.
Oh, yeah. And plus, you have to take into account the fact that China is the only one gutsy enough to mine for these rare metals in the way that they have to be mined for, because it is probably extremely hazardous to the people who extract them. We'll just put it that way.
Right.
It might also be worth noting that last month, Chinese President Xi Jinping met with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in Beijing at a bilateral summit. However, it didn't seem to be all that productive. Ko Yu, Kelly Ng, and Paul Kirby, reporting for the BBC, said that, according to von der Leyen, Russia is one of the biggest determining factors in their relationship moving forward, in particular the Russia-Ukraine war, and China's quiet, or maybe not so quiet, support for it. One of my friends who used to be based in Taiwan but is now based in Europe said that instead of China's shadow hanging over everyone in Taiwan, over there it's Russia's shadow. Would you say that it's comparable?
I would say to a certain degree, yes, because it's just so unpredictable. You can make these comparisons, and then people, all these experts and analysts and whatnot can come out and be like, no, they wouldn't do that because it would hurt this and that. But the world is so crooked and so, I don't want to seem pessimistic, but
we're getting existential here.
We're getting
like
existential.
I like that.
It's just in a so way that people are dominating this country who's perhaps not the first and top foremost interest is their own people in the country.
Sure.
It might be more ego-driven. And when the person just wakes up in a bad day, bad mood, you never know. We'll press buttons, we'll phone calls, and there's another war starting. So it's so hard to predict which way we'll go and if it's comparable, because just let's say theoretically, if 2 years ago Russia would have taken over the whole Ukraine, would that end there? Would we be the next?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you would expect a country with imperialist dreams to continue to want to expand, because why stop here is probably the logic there. But I get what you're saying about how it seems so contingent on the mood of the leadership that day and how everybody is kind of drawing inward. I really feel that Donald Trump did a lot to set this example for the rest of the world. The whole Make America Great Again, America First. Now everybody's like, well, why don't we why don't we make our country great again? Why don't we put our country first now? So everybody is picking up this toxic individualism, I guess, from the United States.
I mean, if I was the president, is it that difficult to just be, the capybara of presidents and just be friends with everybody and kind of like put your country first while maintaining good relationship with others? Like, is it that difficult?
If only we could clone you, Phil, and or at least
vote for Phil.
At least re-educate political leadership. But politicians, they're going to be like that. Whatever.
Right, and that's what scares me, because like, even there might be very good souls trying to get into that, they'll just get pushed out by not so good souls.
I always say that the smartest people are too smart to go into politics.
Too kind, yeah.
Let's pivot to your neck of the woods and talk Slovakia. Those of you who listen to the English program in its glorious entirety might be aware of the fact that Phil is from Slovakia. In fact, he's due for a trip back home later this month. That's why I had to grab him for the show now while I still could. So Phil, knowing you would be coming on, I looked up the latest news from your home country, and I discovered that there was recently an election scandal involving the UK, as if you and Amber needed another reason to argue in the office. Slovakia's prime minister accused UK authorities of meddling in the country's 2023 parliamentary elections, which the British embassy in Bratislava vehemently denies. According to Daniel Hornak, writing for Bloomberg, Prime Minister Fico's comments came after a media report emerged detailing how the UK Foreign Office signed a contract with a media agency 3 years ago to assist digital influencers. And he said that it was through this contract that they helped certain groups steer the vote to go a certain way. So what's the deal with this guy anyway?
I like how you make him sound cute.
To be fair, I really don't know much about this guy. What little I read obviously was in English, so I thought to myself, I bet I could get more extensive information in Slovak, but obviously I can't read Slovak.
Right. So as you pulled me out of my packing, I ran over here and I read as much as I could about this because I had no idea this was happening.
I love that you tuned out. I think that's good because I need to do a little bit more of that. I read so much about American politics. You came to Taiwan and you said, whatever, I'm just going to forget about Slovakia.
I mean, I trust they're doing the best in their own capability for the people and for the nation.
Okay.
So I don't have to control it, right? I'm just like a passenger and their pilots. They know what they're doing. I'm going to have them at that, right?
Okay, that's an amazing attitude to have.
So, what I researched about this and read up on this, Fico, our premier, he came to know or understand that, as you said, UK authorities had something to do with the 2023 parliamentary elections. And there's been some digging and all that, and what it stemmed to, or just what it came to, is that he accused them of going against his party and paying influencers and people to like not propagate them, but the other party, opposition.
What I read was that the contract was meant to sort of mobilize the youth vote.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the original argument. Obviously, I don't know where the truth is, but even if the UK was to be taken for that they did it, the whole point is that Fico is a quite known player, and he's also playing in the best interest, like whatever fits to him. So if you were to look up, just as an outsider, for the last 6 months or 1 year, you could see him playing to Putin's, to Trump's, to EU side, like whatever is kind of beneficial at that point.
Interesting.
And it's kind of weird because it got into the point where the EU started leaving him out of European meetings.
Really?
Because he would be seen in Russia going for a trip, being like openly vocal against Ukraine, like not like very strongly, but there's the tone, like you can see it. So there would to be a point where the EU would just not invite them, and it was just a whole embarrassing thing for Slovakia, because we would be seen as we are trying to be reclaimed by Russia, and we want them to come to us again, be saved from this whole NATO Western
I want to go back to the Soviet Union kind of deal.
It's our time. But yeah. So even if they were seen to do that, I think the British foreign ministry just said they were acting in the democratic spirit.
Okay.
Like they see a threat and they kind of might have steered towards that way. I don't know if it's true, but then I read that also the deal was done for £10 million in 2020.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with the elections, or perhaps it had, but not pointed just
overtly,
at Slovakia.
maybe. Yeah.
Just like go vote, do the right thing. Like don't think your country's cooked. Just get out there and try to like change those things, even if you think like there's no saving it.
It sounds a little bit like how Trump will sue media sources just for reporting, what's happening. It just so happens that what is happening and what they are reporting on may not be favorable to Trump, but it's the truth. So it sounds a little bit like that, where he's just mad because they are telling everyone, go out and vote, not really giving them a direction, not saying vote against him, but he is interpreting it that way.
I'm so happy you mentioned Trump, because
I'm not happy.
You could not believe how much these two guys have in common.
It feels a little bit like that. I noticed
he was attempted to be assassinated and took bullets before Trump.
I saw that.
Then you guys followed this trend for some reason.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Not on purpose.
And what happened is it's so crazy, because before he was elected, like he's got his trick. Like he's probably a good speaker that can persuade people.
He must be.
And all those people are kind of similar to MAGA movement. So it's just insane how much they have in common. And
he's riding on charisma.
Correct.
Okay.
And even before he got elected, he said like, even my boy Trump will get elected. Like,
wow.
US and Slovakia will see the golden times, better times. Now you look up statistics. Everything has become expensive. People are suffering. Like it's the worst economic time for the past, I don't know how many years. So
it's
like
just like America.
you can't make this up. This is crazy. Like they have all these promises. They promise like older generation will receive 13th pension, or what do you call it, funds, extra something. Obviously, I'm gonna vote for you, even if it costs me our future of the kids. Then the time comes, they don't receive anything. They don't see a penny.
Of course. It does feel like since Trump, I guess I could say, rose to power, it emboldened all of these other politicians who like to run the same kind of scams, pretty much, and just generally be chaotic and Machiavellian. He's in charge of, is it called SMER? The party? The SMER party.
Direction.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
That's what it means? Direction?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh gosh, it sounds so Nazi-ish. Can I just say it sounds very...
You can say whatever you want. I'm going to just nod my head, not say anything.
Very fascisty vibe going for them. I'm curious, these countries that used to be part of the Soviet Union, that are close geographically to Russia, the conservative parties, are they more pro-Russia across the board?
This is a hard question. I feel like, again, you have, all those purities, like we are this nation, all this influence from liberalism, and all these Western countries are just bringing us bad. Immigrants are bad. Like, you can see the repeating pattern. It's always the same.
Sure.
So those people were lean towards more like Russia. These were simpler. We didn't have, I don't know, anything, genders, whatever you want to call it. They would just be like, there
were no culture wars, I guess. Yeah. That has really distracted everybody, hasn't it?
So they're just there, and then I would still hopefully claim that it's not majority.
Okay.
But you will find, I would say, maybe 1/4 of people who would definitely be that way.
Okay.
Like,
is it a generational thing, or do you think it's kind of...
I feel like it's just the sickness of this world to be divided into camps and just kind of like stick to group, and then, have your little identity stem from there, and you're just like, no matter what facts you're presented with, it's just you forget about being human, and you kind of like, it's like sports fan,
Sure
you're willing to get in the fight just because your team is out there doing something. Like, it's to me it's just so insane. This
everyone seems to be more attracted now to nationalism and kind of tribalism, and my group, and no to your group, go away.
Why? Like, look at statistics. Like,
I don't know, man.
We're not the greatest countries. Take an example from Denmark and Switzerland. Follow those countries. Like, that's the nationalism you should have.
You brought up Switzerland. I was just talking to somebody who said they've never experienced more racism than when they were in Switzerland. So now I don't know what to believe.
Oh.
So I think it's just it almost doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go now. You're going to run into that.
Right. No, I kind of heard that. Like, they don't want foreigners to come there because they have such perfect system running.
Sure.
And they don't want to give the benefits to someone else. So it's like hard to get in there to get a citizenship or to even like go there for work or anything like that.
You know, I know that's like the beauty of America is you can immigrate, you can live there, you can become a citizen. Well, yeah, it used to be easier. They want to get rid of that. It is something that is unique about America, and that's great about America. But at the same time, you know, it does create this in-group, out-group hostility. And you know how in the United States there are issues with police brutality, for example. They will racially profile people and be harsher on certain groups than other groups. Well, when I talk to my friends about police in Taiwan, I'm like, they're either the nicest, most helpful guy you've met, or they're useless and harmless, because there's nobody to really racially profile here, you know, because it is a more racially homogenous country. So, you know, there is that upside, if you can call it that, of living in a more racially homogenous place. Before we wrap up for the day, I want to talk a bit about the historic earthquake that struck Russia-Kamchatka Peninsula in the far eastern part of the continent. We reported on this when we worked the news shift together just last week. Well, not long after that 8.8 magnitude earthquake shook things up across the Pacific, a volcano on the peninsula erupted. This is really going to challenge me. Too many Slavic names. Kliuchevskoy volcano, located about 450 kilometers north of the regional capital, Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky.
Oh,
I'm
someone
good.
Has been practicing.
Yes, is one of the highest volcanoes in the world and one of the most active in the region. It has erupted more than once over the past few years. Well, following that, another earthquake, 7.0 magnitude, hit Kuril Islands near the peninsula. And as of August 3rd, the tsunami warning for Kamchatka has been lifted, but then the long-dormant Krasheninnikov volcano blew up for the first time in 600 years. That volcano is located even closer to the epicenter of the original quake. Since the volcanoes are really far away from any human settlements, and nobody actually got hurt in these incidents, I think it's fun to muse about them from a distance. As far as earthquakes go, we experience those on a regular basis in Taiwan. The volcanic eruptions, though, that's something else entirely. In the spirit of doom-scrolling and, you know, the sort of existential thread that we've been on today, do things like this ever make you think the end is near?
Good question. I feel like the nature's had enough, and it's sending us a message like, all right, guys, it's
Get
time
out.
to clean up. You have been mining and into me just to get
pillaging the earth for her precious
own
goods.
benefits.
Yes.
Yeah. So now maybe it's just like a little itch and just trying to slap it.
We're like a mosquito
Exactly.
buzzing on the planet, and she's trying to swat us
and
away.
Biting. Correct. Yeah. So I don't know. It could be. I don't think it's gonna be like that quick. But maybe just a
Definitely
slow warning, like, you know, maybe slow warnings. Like, hey,
weren't we
this is
just talking about how there was some sort of prediction that there was going to be a huge earthquake, it was going to destroy everything?
We did.
What was that again? Did that
No,
even?
it's on July 5th, and it stemmed from Japanese manga. I think a writer who kind of like had, I think, dreams, and I think she predicted a couple of things.
Obviously, that didn't come to pass, although I know that Japan is due for another earthquake because they get them on this kind of cyclical basis because of the plate
so
that they're on.
predicting Japanese disaster is not that impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, now that we have like modern seismology, not that impressive because they can predict them very accurately. But I am relieved that the world didn't end, although it was pretty exciting to report on this, one of the biggest earthquakes in history, actually, this was.
Yeah, I did read your story and I edited it. And I didn't know it was followed by the volcano thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought it was just an earthquake, and luckily it happened, as you said, like in a very isolated area. So it looked pretty bad. But as far as I know, there were no lives lost.
Right. Nobody was seriously injured. Nobody lost their lives.
Amazing, first of all. So if it would be the end of the world, I don't think it would be this way.
Yeah. It would have to be in a very
I think this was just
area.
a warning. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a blank shot over there. What happened with the volcano? Also quite isolated from the city. So luckily that beautiful view. I had to look it up, and it just looked majestic.
Yeah, it actually looks amazing. When nobody's, like being drowned in lava and dying in agony, then when a volcano erupts, it's really awesome to behold. I think that's why we didn't end up writing about it in the news, because actually this occurred in a very remote area.
Right. And news are pretty bad.
News we would be like, oh, millions died. Yeah. So,
you had a dark coffee this morning.
Every day, man. Every day. That's what the doom scroll life is all about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's it for today's news report. A quick reminder that you can find all of our referenced articles in the show notes for today's episode. I'm Hanna Belinsky.
And I'm Phil, and that beat you had in the beginning, I was tempted to jump on it and just
start rapping.
Release my inner Eminem.
Nice. Thanks for joining us on air today. Tune in tomorrow for more programs by Radio Taiwan International. And in the meantime, remember to stop scrolling and touch grass. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.